Welcome to the Album Nerds Podcast with your hosts, Don and Dude.
Born in East LA. Oh, Cheech and Chong. This is the Album Nerds Podcast. I'm Dude. I got Don with me. Don, you ready to hit the City of Angels?
Just another lost angel, city of night.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. So this is, of course, the Album Nerds Podcast. We love albums, the album format, and we've got a great show for you today. We continue our journey from city to city in our Summer in the Cities series. And we're headed to Los Angeles, California. So Don and I will each be presenting an album by an artist or band from the City of Angels. Then, of course, Don will be asking us a deep question. We'll have some shout-outs to some other albums and album-related items we're digging, and then we will spin the wheel of musical discovery to learn what city we'll be visiting next time and its storied musical history. But today, it's all about...
They call Los Angeles the City of Angels.
That's what I'm talking about!
Our Summer in the Cities road trip pulls into Los Angeles, where sun-faded billboards, winding canyons, and late-night freeways quietly shape the sounds coming out of bedrooms, warehouses, and old studios. This week, we dig into 2 records born from that sprawl, tracing how the city's haze, tension, and restless energy sleep into every melody, rhythm, and whispered confession.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Well said. Yeah, so obviously quite a bit goes on. There are a lot of transplants to Los Angeles, too, and surrounding areas, so it was kind of hard to filter out some of that. Don, what other albums did you consider before locking in your choice?
Well, there's so many options. Of course, there's a big glam metal scene, so I thought about things like Motley Crue's "Shout at the Devil," but we did do that one in the past. And then even a few years later, Guns N' Roses' "Appetite for Destruction," which is another one we've discussed multiple times, I think.
Yeah, the alternative scene that developed there as well, a little different from what was going on in other parts of the country, including the grunge stuff in Seattle. But Red Hot Chili Peppers, part of that, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, which we did discuss a couple of times, as well as Jane's Addiction, sort of in that same category. Ritual de lo Habitual from 1990 is one that we talked about before. Also Kendrick Lamar, more current artist, sure. Of course. It helps define what the music and hip-hop scene of Los Angeles is like. To Pimp a Butterfly is one that we should have definitely considered, but I believe we did that one on a show also at some point, perhaps before your time.
We did do the one, I forgot what the one was, the storytelling one, where he was growing up or
we
something.
Did Good Kid, Mad City.
That's it, yeah. It would also, NWA would have made sense.
Yeah. Well, and then all the, Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and,
sure.
And then from that, Snoop Dogg. I mean, so much.
Right. And plus there was that whole, punk scene, so you had bands like, Black Flag, and I feel like maybe Dead Kennedys were.
Yeah. I did strongly consider Black Flag, Damaged from 1981, Henry Rollins in the band, but also, just to complete things, we gotta mention Tupac as well.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so the picks are in. The smog is thick. It's time for our cha-cha-cha choices.
Road trip!
You choose me?
Okay, my pick from Los Angeles comes from Billie Eilish and her 2024 album, Hit Me Hard and Soft. This is the third album from the American singer-songwriter, born Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell in 2001. So she's...
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, a lot of names there.
Pirate?
I think
Baird?
so. Yeah, I think that's...
Okay.
I think that's
sure.
What
Sound like pirate or something.
It could be.
Okay,
maybe. I wasn't aware of this until kind of exploring her world, but she's been collaborating with her brother, Finneas O'Connell. I think he kind of just goes by the name Finneas, but they co-write all of the songs on this album, and I guess previous albums. And Finneas also serves as the producer.
Now, I had heard something about her and her brother being co-writers in the past. Now, does he produce for other people, or does he only work?
He does. Yeah.
Cool.
He's a working producer.
Nice.
The album centers on romantic and emotional relationships, romantic identity, self-image, guilt, and that kind of stuff. Let's get right to it. Here's the opening cut, "Skinny."
Where's the ARG? Now that I know that she's got a pirate in her name, I'm kind of feeling like something's missing.
So the album opens in this quiet, stripped-down way. It kind of feels like a confession or a private confession. It just got, I think, gentle guitar in the background, some subtle keys, and I think there are some, there's some orchestration that comes later. The lyrics look at body image and fame, and I think it seems to be about the way people talk about her appearance.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that kind of stuff or seen it in the social media world a little bit. And, I don't know much about her. And frankly, Don, I was quite shocked when you made this pick because I've dabbled. I've played a couple of songs before, but just kind of dismissed it offhand as not for me without ever really giving it a true listen. And, as far as her image goes, like there's a lot of other popular female artists right now, but from what I've seen, she doesn't seem to do choreographed dance move stuff so much. She doesn't seem to wear Vegas looking costuming and stuff. So I could see that being an issue for a young woman today, trying to deal with all of that on top of just creating music. But as far as Skinny goes, it's a nice quiet opening. It really surprised me because it was almost ambient and sparse, and I was expecting a whole lot of shock and awe from an artist of this size from an album in 2024. An artist at this level, at least, in an album in 2024. But it does explore that disconnect between public perception and personal reality, success and maturity. Have they made her happier or just more exposed? Mm-hmm. But it demonstrates her evolution from like a teenage perspective to young adulthood, and the production and the music itself sets a great landscape for that to live in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, good opener.
Good. All right, well let's move on to another cut. Here's "Birds of a Feather."
So why that one, Don?
Well, this one is certainly, I would say, the poppiest moment. The most melodic hook, I think. But it's very warm sounding, and overall, I would say the vibe is positive. Whereas a lot of the other songs go to more darker and more complicated places.
Yeah, I guess it does sound a little bit more like some of her contemporaries, like your Sabrina Carpenters and Olivia Rodrigo, and I don't really know who's who in that space, or how if their fan bases think they're completely different. You know how that is when you like the Smiths and the Cure and stuff, and then everyone people that don't just go, it all sounds the same to me. Right. You're like, are you kidding me? Yeah. So I don't want to offend anyone. Yeah, cool song. Nice, and you're right. It's very warm.
One thing about it seems like all of these, big female pop artists right now is they're not afraid to make the songs kind of specific to themselves. So they're famous and they're being followed on social media. And so they actually write about that stuff. Whereas I think other artists maybe avoid, because you're looking for a universal connection. Right. And, I might not, understand why or, what it's like to be followed on social media. But I think what comes out is that, even though their circumstances are unique, some of that is universal. So even if
things have changed, so Joni Mitchell or Carly Simon or Carole King or whatever, that was about them, but it was more like less specific. And we now live in a world where with social media being about sharing who you are or some version of who you are, it is a common.
It is
a commonality. It is, and I think Taylor Swift sort of set the bar for some of that.
Absolutely.
This next generation of artists are taking it to the next step because the fans already know if Billie put something about having a peanut butter sandwich yesterday. So she could write in the day I ate the peanut butter sandwich, and they would all be like, I remember that. Back to the song. I like the gentle guitar figure, the warm synth pads. Keyboards are subtle. Yeah. And it's about unconditional love and unwavering commitment and wanting to stay connected to someone through every stage of life. And there's some melancholy underneath, which I think is another example of the Billie and Finneas songwriting philosophy. Simple melodies, thoughtful lyrics, meticulous production, and bringing in a lot of different emotions, but they all kind of blend together nice.
Yeah. And she seems to have a really good sense of ambience or something.
Yeah.
So even an overtly pop song like this still has a kind of an ambient vibe, you know.
And it doesn't feel trend driven either.
Not really, no.
Which surprised me.
All right, well, was there a song you wanted to highlight?
Yeah. One that kind of stuck out to me was The Greatest, and it's pretty obvious why, I think. Let's jump in. A little guitar, little self-glory. That's rock and roll right there.
Yeah, sure.
To some degree, at least. The closest it's going to get for people like me. But it does begin as a restrained ballad before kind of exploding into a bigger emotional climax than on a lot of the other songs. Mm-hmm. Feels like a natural bridge between her modern style and classic rock dynamics, which I like hearing a little bit of here. I don't know what happened on previous albums. Finneas leaves a lot of empty space in the arrangement. Mm-hmm. And I think it lets the silence and room ambience like create tension.
Yes.
And then each instrument is significant. Like the dude knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Like I'm interested to go hear other albums he's produced from other artists to see what else he's capable of. Live drums, mm-hmm. Yes please, subtle layers of electric guitar, bass, and keyboards. At its heart, the song explores emotional imbalance, which is kind of a common theme. Loving harder than you're being loved in return.
Sure.
What do you think about this one?
Yeah, well, it's definitely like the epic track, I think, on the album. There's other songs on the album that kind of go from sort of light into something heavier or more intense, but this is the most dramatic example of it. And it almost gets into like power ballad territory there, or something like a Steinem type thing. It's very operatic or something.
Yeah, like Meatloaf or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
the quiet to loud stuff. Mm-hmm. More of that, Billy.
Yeah. I could see a song like this really connecting with young people or, mm-hmm. young women, which is part of the reason I picked this album. Was just every now and then I like to just kind of hear what the young people are doing, as I feel more and more out of touch. Maybe one place where we can connect is through music.
Well, yeah, it's because we have decades of stuff we already like, and squeezing new stuff in becomes like, what am I going to replace, right? So that's why I love doing this show, because it gives us that reason to do it.
Yep.
Now, does it always stick? No. And it doesn't have to, but we've experienced it, and that's something.
Yep. All right. Well, this that takes us to the closing cut, Blue.
It strikes me that there's, I underestimated her vocal strength.
Yeah.
There's some definite Adele-ness in here, too.
Yeah. She channels a lot of people. I was actually reminded of, do you remember the Sundays? Harriet Wheeler from the Sundays, has, a certain sound that Billie, I think, channels at times. But yeah, I didn't really expect much from her vocally, because, the one song I really even knew was what do you want from me? And it's kind of like whispery, and, it has like that sub bass, and I don't know.
The only things I've heard is when I'm playing Fortnite with my nephews and someone does an emote with one of her songs. That's all I had before, gotcha. Really.
But this one, like a lot of the others, kind of stretches out, and it, moves through different tempos and textures. And it seems to, kind of sum up the album. And I think she's even referring back to other songs. She actually says, something like, I thought we were birds of a feather, or something like that. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it does serve as an emotional conclusion. And it does, like you said, it ties together the ideas, I think, introduced throughout the album. No answers.
No.
But that's not really the role. It's the role of an artist is to make you ask yourself questions, right? Mm-hmm. And The layered harmonies are really cool. The orchestral textures, heartbreak, acceptance, emotional growth. But there's some cautious optimism, I think, here. And those callbacks are nice. And it reinforces Hit Me Hard and Soft as an album experience instead of simply a collection of tracks. And that's good to hear.
It is.
She wouldn't have to do it this way at this point. And I love that she is, and I hope her contemporaries and herself, any artists in this day and age, continue to make albums an experience.
Me too.
Regardless of how they're delivered. And I love that albums are getting shorter again because I want to fit them on two-sided vinyl.
Love it.
So, yay.
All right, well, let's rewind and reflect on Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft. I'll begin with my clickbait headline. Skinny beats, lunch lust, and dinner creeps turn young love into a moody bedroom funhouse. I don't even really know what that means, but I'm just trying to throw a bunch of song titles and stuff in there.
I've got J.D. Roth on my mind now from the Funhouse game show of the 80s.
Wow. So it is, I saw somebody describe it as like a 10-part story about love and confusion and attraction. And I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is, but like you said, it does feel like an experience, almost like a concept album. Mm-hmm. And, I can't deny that it's well done. And, at times I was, very captivated. I was very captivated.
I was captivated too.
Roy?
Or I'm captivated.
But there's romance, but there's also darkness and insecurity.
I feel like you're going to do the grandpa speech from Princess Bride.
Oh.
Fighting. Love, true love. So my clickbait headline to describe the album: no guests, no co-writers, no Hollywood hit machine, just Billie and Finneas building a pop empire from a home studio in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a sonic journey. Billie and Finneas seem to avoid chasing obvious radio singles, and instead they create an album built on pacing and transitions and mood. And that's artistry. That's just not being a shill of selling albums and selling tickets. The album moves effortlessly between intimate, like almost folk-inspired ballads, electronic textures. There's some jazz-influenced harmonies, indie rock feel, cinematic orchestral moments, and it doesn't feel scattered.
Yeah.
They use the tools very well. I
think it helps that it is just a partnership between two people. And I think some of the other pop that's out there's just so many people providing input, so many producers, so many co-writers. And this is just the two of them.
Yeah. Nice.
Killer to filler. Did you have any favorites?
Lunch sticks out. Especially it catches you off guard lyrically.
Yeah.
But a burst of confidence and humor. Great bass groove, really hooky, but it's like a playful celebration of attraction and desire from Billie's perspective of, dating women, not just men. And it's pretty direct.
Yes.
It's funky. Mm-hmm. But she makes it personal, but it's also playful and a way of unburdening herself of something that she hadn't talked about before. Mm-hmm. So that stuck out.
Yeah, is it Chihiro? Is that I'm not even sure how you pronounce it, but that's I think maybe the third track on the album. I kind of like that. It's sort of hypnotic, kind of dancey. And again, I think she does a good job with that sort of not dance music, but sort of that hypnotic vibe track.
Yeah, more like those silent discos or whatever that people do. Like I could see that song working well in that scenario. Wildflower I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. Storytelling a little bit more, mature lyrical performance, I would say, examining guilt, entering a relationship connected to someone else's past, and empathy and emotional complexity, and the acoustic instrumentation is nice. So yeah, I enjoyed that song.
Any fillers?
I'd say the weakest was the diner.
Yeah, so that seems to be about like a obsessive fan or a stalker or something like that.
Like a stan kind of a situation.
Yeah.
It's sort of detached, the narration, and I'm sure that that's all intentional. That's the one thing I can't question here is, regardless of if I think something was a little off, I know it was probably meant to do that. These two seem to know what they're doing with intention, at least on this record, and that was the point. So if I'm made uncomfortable by it and think kind of weaker, I suspect that was their plan all along. Yeah, and they're muahahaing right now.
True. All right, production. So like I said, it's basically Finneas and Billie doing it all. And I don't know. In some ways, the album feels big, but it also feels intimate as well. So I don't know if it's somehow they're striking a balance.
Yeah. And we've talked a lot about it already, but the arrangements rarely follow standard pop formulas. The songs feel like they're expanding naturally, even when entirely new sections late in the track show up. It seems to enhance it. So well done on the production.
Yeah, absolutely. Replay value. What do you think? You're going to listen to this again?
I'm not opposed to it, but if I'm being honest, I can't imagine it coming up. But when the next record comes out, maybe I'll check it out, and perhaps I'll find a way or a time that is appropriate. Yeah. But I was impressed.
I mean, I definitely want to hear what comes next, and I imagine she's about due to come out with something else. But I also, I'd be interested in going back a little bit because I didn't have a lot of time to listen to her first two albums. So I'm definitely interested, but it's like you said, I mean, it's not something I'm gonna go out of my way to listen to. Legacy. I mean, it's kind of hard to say for a record that's just 2 years old.
Yeah, I mean, its lasting impact may ultimately be showing younger artists that restraint, emotional honesty, and complete album experiences can still thrive in this streaming era. I think that if that's an inspiration, that's enough of a legacy for future artists. But it's a perfect modern representation of the city of Los Angeles. Like so much of influential LA music, it blends genres effortlessly, embraces experimentation, reflects a creative environment where artists aren't confined by the traditional industry expectations, and that's LA. So
yeah, I'm not sure exactly how she compares to the other big female pop artists right now, but I do appreciate that seems to be committed to creating albums that are focused in an era of streaming. So good for her. Hit Me Hard and Soft is like a late night drive through young love, doubt, and self-discovery. Check it out.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Now it's time again for Deep Questions by Don. All right, so our Summer in the Cities tour continues, and we're now in Los Angeles. What other cool pop cultural things came from Los Angeles?
So I was digging around a little bit, and I found that the electric guitar, not invented in Los Angeles, but the frying pan was born in Los Angeles. And that was the first commercially successful electric guitar, created in 1931 by George Beauchamp and Adolf Rickenbacker.
Nice.
And they named it the frying pan because of its circular body and long neck. It was a lap steel guitar and one of the first instruments to use electromagnetic pickups, allowing the guitar signal to be amplified instead of relying on acoustic volume or a microphone. And built through Rickenbacker in Los Angeles, and it helped launch the electric guitar revolution, which shaped blues and blues rock, surf music, psychedelia. And before the Sunset Strip became famous for rock mythology, Los Angeles was already kind of helping invent the tools that would define modern music. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. I mean, so many films are made in the Los Angeles area, and then of course many of them are set in Los Angeles. Some cool ones. Pretty Woman. I know you're a big fan of that film.
Oh yes, yeah. It's so romantic. Yeah. She kissed him. Do
you remember that? Was it David Lynch who did Mulholland Drive?
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. There's a lot like in that 90s period. Of course, Big Lebowski, Pulp Fiction, so I feel like I've never actually been to LA, but I feel like, my expectations of what LA is were, set in films. Of course, an old timey one, Sunset Boulevard. Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah. I took a film course in college.
Yes.
That was among the ones we had to watch.
Yeah. Highly recommend Sunset Boulevard to anybody who's interested.
A cinemaphile.
There you go. Of course, if they're a cinemaphile, they probably would have already seen it. But.
Right.
Anyway, what other cool things come from Los Angeles? Let us know on our social media, like Instagram and Facebook at Album Nerds.
All right, now we're getting into the gutter here with the real stuff. The Doors, Strange Days, from September of 1967, produced by Paul A. Rothchild. So few bands are more synonymous with Los Angeles than The Doors. Formed in Venice Beach in 1965 by Jim Morrison, Ray Manzarek, Robbie Krieger, and John Densmore. The band blended blues, psychedelic rock, jazz, flamenco, and then, of course, we had Morrison's poetic lyrics and delivery that made it sound unlike anything else of the era. Strange Days was their follow-up to their debut, which had Light My Fire on it, and, you know, it's a good album. The first album was great, yeah. But this one gets a little weird, which is more LA to me. It was, as I said, produced by Paul A. Rothchild, engineered by Bruce Botnick at Sunset Sound in Hollywood. The album expanded the band's sound instead of repeating their formula. Many of the songs had already been developed during their Sunset Strip club days, so it gives the record a confidence, a maturity, unusual for a second album, although we're talking like, 8-9 months apart?
Yep.
So, but musically, it pushes further into psychedelia, incorporating tape effects, early synthesizer experiments, layered keyboards, atmospheric production, still grounded in the inventive guitar work and jazz-influenced drumming, but, you know, Morrison's lyrics explore more alienation, identity, paranoia, surreal stuff. It's darker, and it captures the city's psychedelic underground. So why don't we get going with the opening track, Strange Days. This title track immediately feels different than the first record, which I think is cool. Much of the material dates back, as I said, to earlier days. So they had a chance to really work these numbers out. Ray Manzarek's Fox Continental organ creates the song's eerie foundation. Robbie Krieger, the echoey guitar lines over the John Densmore's very jazzy drumming.
Oh, yeah.
I think, you know, it's such an interesting group of guys to come together. But the production creates a cinematic mood. Feels like you're stepping into a film, like some gritty Streets of LA sort of movie. And that vocal effect that they have on Morrison. Was he going through one of the amps or something? I read something like that.
Or I don't know if it was
or pickup. If
it went through the Moog synthesizer somehow or something.
Yes, yeah. That's it. That's what I read. I imagine that's a moment that's happening. But Morrison paints a picture of people drifting through a chaotic world where nothing feels familiar. It doesn't tell a linear story, but it's fragmented images to capture confusion and isolation in the changing landscape of the late 60s. The strange days are personal and cultural, and there's just a rapid social and political change like we've got going on today. And it was creating a different landscape. So well done.
It's really kind of psychedelia at its best because it works. You know, it's got the trippy effect and stuff.
Right.
It just, you know, it just feels weird, but it actually, it's a real song with structure. You know, it's kind of a universal thing that can be applied to, you know, like you said, politics or social change. So yeah, really well done. And I'm not sure how many songs at the time would have an ambitious, you know, vocal effect like that.
It definitely stands out, especially on a we did non-casual listening. So
right.
I never really thought about it before until, you know, preparing for this show. I mean, I've listened to it hundreds of times in my life, but paying attention to detail like I did this time was awesome. All right. So the strangeness continues. You know, it's strange days, but part of that is people. And as we all know, people are strange, certainly including us.
Faces come out of the rain when you stray. No one remembers your name.
Biggest hit off the album, signature song. So Jim Morrison reportedly wrote the lyrics after returning from a solitary walk in the Hollywood Hills. Probably after a blow up in the studio would be my guess. The other band members recalled he had been struggling emotionally but came back inspired, saying that he finally understood what the song should be about. Now, who knows? The remaining members of the Doors have expanded the legend of Jim and the band so much that it's hard to know.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is also cool all by itself.
Yeah.
So the arrangement blends European cabaret, vaudeville sounds, psychedelic rock. Rather than the traditional blues, the first album was much more bluesy. Mm-hmm. That carnival-like keyboard that Ray Manzarek is playing gives the song a personality.
Yeah, it's playful and bouncy, but the subject matter, again, is very dark. Kind of reminds me of almost like a children's nursery rhyme or like Ring Around the Rosie or something, that's actually about something darker. Yeah, it's just, it's a fun song, but it's also, I don't know, again, something I think we, can all relate to at times.
I think Morrison's kind of suggesting that our view of the world changes with our emotional state, right? When life is going well, people seem friendly. When you're isolated, everyone suddenly feels distant, unfamiliar, and strange. Yep. It also could be read as a commentary on outsiders, artists, that they're the strange people. They're the freak show. Yeah. But it's appeared in numerous films and television shows. And so generations of listeners have experienced this song one way or another. And it's cool. So, Don, there's a lot going on here in the 35 minutes runtime of this album. What song did you want to highlight today? Yeah,
it's a challenge to just pick a couple of tracks from it, but I went with Moonlight Drive. To the moon, let's climb through the tide, penetrate the evening. That passage reminds me of the film The Doors by Oliver Stone, where Jim Morrison is just kind of reciting the opening lines of Moonlight Drive to Ray Manzarek.
Yeah, they meet on a beach. They had been in a class together at UCLA or something. And he closes his eyes and he's feeling it. Yeah. That was a moment in the movie that stuck out to me as well.
Yeah. And it is a great, the penetrate the evening that the city sleeps to hide. I think that's so cool. I wish I could come up with stuff like that.
Well, Chat GPT help me write a Jim Morrison style song.
There you go. But this one, the idea of, taking a romantic adventure with somebody is not new. It feels like something that could be kind of in an old blues song or something Chuck Berry might have written, but it has just a more unusual feel to it.
Well, the sliding, watery guitar lick.
Yeah.
But it's fluid and like Delta blues, but also the psychedelic bits, and the song changes tempo and it elevates and then comes back down. It is very ocean-like.
Yeah, and maybe because it's like that, it's dangerous like the ocean, because I get a feeling that this Moonlight Drive, it's not just romance and comfort. There's danger on the horizon potentially. Who knows what trouble we'll get into.
Yeah, it does transform into a surreal journey, with moonlight and water and snakes and dream imagery.
Yeah. Even the line, let's swim to the moon, like if you're there on a beach and you see the moon, you kind of feel
it's
like
reflecting on the water and you can swim to it. Right. Yeah, I get that. That's beautiful. I don't know if I can go on. I'm a little moved. No, seriously though, the dude can elicit emotion with really interesting word combos.
It's tough, because the guy has such a legendary, status. Like you feel like you could overrate somebody, but I don't think you really can with him.
Especially, as a lyricist.
Yeah.
Like if you put him up against Yeats or something with poetry. So I don't know, but
he can hang with Keats and Yeats.
Well, he probably is, right? In the afterlife.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. Well, why don't we close out the album with the final track, a big one, 10 minutes of blow your doors off when the music's over.
Turn out the lights, turn out the lights. What's the music?
I want to make sure we got that part of his delivery, which we get a bunch of that throughout the album, and I love when he goes there. Mm-hmm. But it's actually closer to 11 minutes total. Rather than ending with a concise rock song, the Doors chose to finish with a sprawling performance that captures everything the band did best, right? Mm-hmm. Poetry, improv, blues, jazz, psychedelia, and that theatrical intensity.
This is one I used to like to play on a jukebox because you got your money's worth. This is before they got savvy and started charging you 2 credits for longer songs. But it's not one people get annoyed with, because I've played like long Pink Floyd songs and I can tell that the patrons are getting restless. But yes. I guess because the dynamics change a lot throughout the song, and it has some real upbeat and explosive
and it's
parts.
Familiar.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, what a song.
Yeah, Densmore's drumming is particularly impressive in this one. He's steering the song through the numerous tempo and dynamic changes without like losing momentum. Like Morrison's, I don't know, exploring humanity's relationship with nature, authority, freedom, mortality. I mean, it's all there with the repetition of when the music's over, turn out the light. For me, that could be about if music ever stops being a human form of art and expression, then it's over.
Yeah.
Turn out the light.
Yeah. I mean, the music is your only friend. And I mean, as a music nerd myself, I sometimes, can feel that way. And I can't imagine a world without music. But then, it's also potentially, music, it's just a metaphor, for something bigger. Maybe it's not really about music. It's about the life force or
could be about his own dark thoughts of when this is done, I'm done, and it wasn't many years later that he was done. And the environmental stuff. Yeah. What have they done to the earth? It's about a lot of things.
Yes.
And I think depending on your state of mind and moment of listening to it, it can just be a song to jam to and chill to, or moments of introspection. Like when I listened to this on headphones, I just was focused on his delivery of every word and those different movements throughout. And I was blown away. Even though I'm super familiar with this, it still amazes me of what, artistic expression can bring out in other humans. And that's something we got to be aware of, folks. Look out for those AI songs and thumbs down those things.
Do you think when he does the until the end stuff, do you think that's a reference to the end, the song? Because in a way they are similar like that at the end.
Then definitely that would be a reference to the end.
I always thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these songs were all living together before they were put on record. So, so much to say. And it's a great closer. One of the best of all time, in my opinion.
I agree.
But it's probably time to rewind and reflect on Strange Days. I'll kick it off with my clickbait headline to describe the album. The California Dream had a dark side. Strange Days put it on vinyl. Every track contributes to a mysterious cinematic atmosphere that feels like stumbling through Los Angeles in the dark at night.
Yeah.
Sweaty and just people everywhere and the chaos of the streets.
Yeah, it's funny how they pulled the darkness out of LA because I picture, the warm California sun, like all the beach stuff.
Yeah. What makes it so rewarding is its balance. And the Doors never indulge in experimentation for its own sake. It all serves the song. And they do that consistently throughout the record.
I'll give you my clickbait headline. Doors avoid sophomore slump with dark and swinging Sunset Strip psychedelia. Yeah, both, their debut album and this album are, both fantastic. And sometimes I think this is my favorite of the Doors, and other times I think it's the debut or LA Woman. I think kind of universally those are kind of considered the 3 best. But yeah, I love it when a band really follows up with something strong and they start to explore other things. And I'm still struck by, so 1967, that's the summer of love. And that's when you got the hippie stuff going on, a little north in San Francisco.
These guys weren't exactly hippies.
Not at all. And in some ways, they might have more in common with like the New York Velvet Underground and that whole scene.
Yeah, the beatnik poetry type stuff. So what about Killer to Filler? 35 minutes of just incredible tunes. Let's talk about a few that we enjoyed or didn't. It's possible, I suppose.
Love Me 2 Times. It's just a great kind of blues track. And
arguably the purest rock song on the record.
Yep. I agree.
Got the swagger.
Yeah. I think the second track is Your Lost Little Girl. I just love how it goes into that kind of quiet. Yeah. He's he kind of croons a little bit, and he can sing kind of like a soft lullaby. He's really good at that. But then even that song picks up.
Yeah. It's restrained though, more so.
Yeah.
But it reinforces the album's recurring themes of loneliness and disconnection, right? To other people. I really enjoy My Eyes Have Seen You. I think it's overlooked because it's surrounded by bigger songs, but it shows like they're still rocking. And Morrison blurs memory and obsession and destiny, singing as if he already knows someone before they've truly met. I think that's cool.
Yeah. They're so good at just picking little hooks. Dun, 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 dun.
Yep. Perfect.
Thank you.
What about you, Don? Anything else for you?
They're all great. I guess if there is filler, I think people would probably point to the Horse Latitudes.
Yeah.
It's basically spoken word stuff and then a bunch of sound effects. And
I like that.
I like it too. It doesn't bother me at all.
Sounds like the chaos of any city, but in this case, Los Angeles. And, they were playing Sunset Strip, and I'm sure after those shows, that's what it felt like, or during the performances. I mean, in the chaotic moments of creation, describing tiny monsters and horses being sacrificed, and
I mean, it's the kind of thing that was overdone, like in the progressive era.
Yeah,
but I think.
The progressive era was neither progressive nor an era.
Discussed. But this kind of thing can get old after a while, but I think it's cool, particularly for its time.
And they keep it tight too. It doesn't go on too long. I think it's a really cool moment on the record that is not worth skipping. Yeah, and it goes right, all of a sudden it ends and it's into Moonlight Drive. It's such a cool transition. Yeah. Well, I guess we're done kissing the ass of the Doors. Kind of gushing. Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we get into the production? So it's Paul Rothchild, who I think did all the Doors albums except for L.A. Woman. I think he ended up leaving those sessions out of frustration. But he really seems to know how to, and I'm not sure how much credit he deserves for it, but I mean, he keeps these guys under control. Particularly, Jim would probably, my understanding is he would be the difficult one to, get stuff out of. Yes, that's how it's been reported for sure. Yeah. But even the other three, they probably at times were tempted to jam out longer and do more goofier jazz blues stuff. And I don't know, it's a very poppy album for a bunch of kind of blues and jazz musicians. But the spacious mix allows Morrison's voice to command attention. The tape echo, the vocal processing, the early synth experiments definitely create this sort of otherworldly atmosphere. And that's what it's all about, right? Stretching. And it's like a master class, I guess, in studio enhancement, like using the tools in new and unique ways, especially in that era when there were so many new things to play with. Yep. Yeah. Sounds so good. All right. Replay value for you. Yes, I've replayed it many times and I will continue. Yeah. Like I said, every time I revisit it, I find new things. I already listen to it at least 3 or 4 times a year. I go on all 6 Morrison-led studio albums in a row. And so I listen to it a lot, and I will continue to do so, and I recommend everyone else does. Yes. Also, Legacy. I think we've kind of covered it, but got anything to add? I think it added darkness to the sort of the late 60s rock. A lot of it was more wilted flowers for the flower children. And so this is dark, but it's still it's very much in the blues world, but they're expanding the palette of what the blues could be. Mm-hmm. All right. So the final song said, "When the music's over, but strange days made sure Los Angeles would never sound the same again or ever turn out the lights." Check it out. Love it 2 times. There you go.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Okay. On your way back on, I guess, Route 66, right? Is that the one? Yeah. I think so. Driving through the desert, whatever. Did you have a chance to dig anything else? Mary in the Junkyard, Role Model Hermit. Yes. That's good. Yeah, I stumbled on the band Mary in the Junkyard and their debut album, Role Model Hermit. They're a London indie rock trio made of Clary Freeman Taylor, Saya Barbaglia,
and David Addison. It's kind of indie rock, post-punk, folk, art rock stuff. Why don't we listen to a little bit of New Muscles? Or Muscles.
Got an interesting voice.
Yeah, it sounds old but new, which I really like. Built around sort of like richly layered instrumentation, some unconventional arrangements and percussion. It's pretty cool so far, and it's getting a lot of attention, and I think that's a good thing. So, of course, I like to dig on something from my album collection. In this case, it's a vinyl album that I actually have. Thinking about LA and the music scene there, Red Hot Chili Peppers and the 1989 album Mother's Milk. Of course, we kind of talked about them at the top of the show briefly. Blending funk, punk, hard rock, alternative into a higher energy, genre-defying sound. We've talked about a lot of that today, as a matter of fact. Maybe it's that LA thing. I really fought it to say thang instead, so congratulate me. Why don't we jump in with a little bit of Knock Me Down. So this was their fourth studio album, the first to feature John Frusciante and Chad Smith, John on guitar and Chad on drums. It marked a turning point for the band, and it was the one right before Blood Sugar Sex Magik, but it kind of set the stage for that, and it's still a little wackier. Mm-hmm. It's a great record, and it's a great example of an LA sound.
Yeah. It's a great sounding album, and the guitar work is fantastic.
And experimental, and yeah, you can tell they're finding their way to the next level, but it's a great stepping stone album.
Yep.
What about you, Don? What you digging on?
Well, I discovered a band called Michigander.
Stupid name.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So an album called Over Before You Know It is coming out at the end of July. It's an indie rock project from singer-songwriter and guitarist Jason Singer. This is actually the second full-length album. It's guitar-based, alternative rock, interesting lyrics. At times, it kind of reminded me of Modest Mouse. Here's a track called Freaking Out.
Spinning like a record. Cool image.
Yes, like that. The verses are more kind of goofy sounding than that, but it's pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to the whole album. Also, Phoebe Bridgers, who you have heard of because she's one of the three ladies in Boy Genius. So she has her third solo album coming out in August called Lost Weekend. Here's the first track we've gotten from the album, Lost Boys.
Makes me think of the Joel Schumacher film.
Oh, yeah?
Lost Boys. Which, of course, I believe they had People Are Strange playing in that movie.
They sure did. I've grown to enjoy all the members of Boy Genius. I've gone back and listened to their catalogs, and yeah, I think this will be a good one. So what are you digging? Let us know. Join us on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Album Nerds.
It will be a discovery of extraordinary value.
Well, it's about time on the show when I'm reminded of the words of American artist and filmmaker and New York City dweller,
yes,
Andy Warhol. He said, "I love Los Angeles and I love Hollywood. They're beautiful. Everybody's plastic, but I love plastic. I want to be plastic." With that in mind, let's bring out the Wheel of Musical Discovery to see what city will be concluding our Summer in the Cities tour in.
Next up, and the final stop in our Summer in the Cities series, we head to Chicago, Illinois. From electric blues and jazz to soul, punk, and alternative rock, we're exploring albums that celebrate the rich musical legacy of the Windy City.
The Bears. Oh, Chicago. Yeah, there's a lot to dig into in Chicago, man.
Is there?
There is.
It's my kind of town.
Chicago is. All right.
Yes, looking forward to that. So what's your favorite record from Chicago? What else are you listening to? Email us at podcast@albumnerds.com or follow us on Instagram and other social media at Album Nerds. And you can visit albumnerds.com to listen to all 345 episodes. And the best way to support this show is to share it. Please subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app.
Thank you, as always, for joining us here on the program. We'll catch you next time in Chi-Town, the Windy City.
Well, the podcast's over. Yeah. Well, the podcast is your special friend.
Just like it.
Yes.
It's uncanny.
Thank you.
I've got chills. Turn out the lights. See you next time.